Starfield just got a huge new update. We also had the reveal of 2 additional companions and their backstories. We have another reviewer chiming in on all the planetary drama. We also have a build planner to go over, as well as some events in the near future around Starfield's release. We got a lot to talk about. What's up, World Stripper? Back in the video, we're checking out all things Starfield. Okay, so let's just jump right into the actual new update and what's going on with that there. So apparently a new update is getting pushed out to the Xbox and the Windows platform, as Steam does not have the preload yet. However, it does seem that this new update is quite significant, as it even updates the version number quite significantly. And it looks like we're jumping from a 1.6 all the way to a 1.7.2. Meaning this seems like it's a quite significant patch and actually quite decent of a jump in some sort of fix or tweaks with the game. It's also around 15 gigabytes, although sometimes they make you re-download certain assets that are included, or if there's things proportionate to the engine, sometimes they even have you re-download the full game. Although not in this case, of course, it's just the 15 gigabytes that additionally is needed. Now, no one really knows what this update is for, however, I might have a few ideas. As when those leaked copies were going around, that whole debacle with that over there, essentially a lot of these people weren't able to actually play their games. And so something happened with the preload. They basically shut down preloading, or people weren't even able to preload the game on Windows. Or when they were downloading it, it was a 300 megabyte thing. There's a ton of stuff there with that. So my theory is maybe this is now unlocking those copies, and the people that get those either wherever they got those copies from, they can maybe now play it. So if you are wary on spoilers, I would start to watch out, because these copies might be getting either unlocked or something actually ended up happening here. Again, this could coincide with the preload getting shut off and then turned back on, or it could have nothing to do with that and this just actually be a significant tweak to the game. Although my theory is mostly on it being a significant tweak to the game, since the version number did quite a significant jump, at least normally in those version numbers. When they jump from like a 1.6 to a 1.7, it's usually pretty significant. It's not like a major patch, but it's usually more than just a hotfix. If anything comes out that's official, or they say anything on certain patch notes or anything, which I'm guessing they probably wouldn't, seeing as the game isn't out yet, so they can't even really put out patch notes because they can't tell you what's changed. It would just lead to way too many spoilers. But if there is any updates on anything, maybe they just talk about performance stuff, I'll be sure to leave a pinned comment down below, or at least something in the description. Now, we did have those 2 new companions showcased, and we still, I guess, technically don't know who the 4th main companion is. That might be something that I got wrong in my last video. We're not 100% sure if this is the 4th main companion or who the 4th main companion is. There's a lot of speculation going on around there. Yeah, nobody's 100% for sure, and I kind of just fell for a Reddit post that said otherwise. Now, these 2 companions I believe were showcased in some footage or showcased earlier on. However, now we do actually have a backstory around them and their kind of profile log here like the others. And here we have Noelle the scientist. Noelle became enamored with Sarah Morgan's mission at the Constellation. After reading about her work in a scientific journal and brief correspondence, Sarah invited her to join. Noelle has been working hard to study the artifacts her peers recover, analyzing their unique properties and theorizing their purpose. Seems like she'll be very tech savvy and very technically capable. So definitely one that I'm going to have on my team, or at least on my ship at all times, as I normally love going into the scientist stuff, or even as you saw with my other videos in PG3, I'm like usually play a wizard or a mage. So yeah, I usually always go into intelligence or scientist, so she'll definitely be in my party. Next up we have Matteo Castri, who is a space preacher or a theologian. Matteo made a name for himself as a young explorer by hunting down religious relics that went missing after being taken from Earth. With each artifact Constellation acquires, Matteo becomes more and more certain of his belief that they are proof of a divine higher power. Definitely kind of cool. There's some like Paladin RP vibes going on there, like the religious preacher. I'm not sure if I might keep him around, but I'm not really into that sort of stuff. Although RP wise, that stuff is super cool, and yeah, it's definitely kind of fun to like play around with. There definitely could be something there, especially with the whole space magic stuff that's like rumored and talked about that no one really knows what's going on with. I definitely would be into that stuff there, so he'll be kept around just for that kind of speculation and worrisome that I kind of almost need him to learn this sort of space magic, or it'll be tied to that. That's just kind of mostly my guess with that there, but maybe it has something to do with it. In any case, it would be kind of cool to see what his backstory is and maybe even quests with tied to him. Now, we did have a kind of a cool podcast that I've been listening to a little bit too, and I haven't got through all just yet, but Digital Foundry actually did drop a podcast about a few hours ago, and it talks about some of these Starfield impressions. It seems so far like a decent listen to, so yeah, if you want to check out the podcast, I'm going to leave a link to it down below. We also had another reviewer slash writer, and this one's actually from Forbes. And that writer is Paul Tassi, who actually did reply here into a comment chain, or a Twitter or X chain, or whatever you want to call it. Now, obviously, all this drama stemmed from a bunch of different tweets from a ton of different reviewers that we had yesterday. But essentially that came down to here where Paul Tassi said, what does Starfield's digital premium edition get you besides an early release date? So they went over some of the stuff here in this Forbes writing, but someone replied here saying not true. Planetary exploration, that's for sure. And Paul Tassi replied to that saying nobody knows what they're talking about. There's a lot of stuff here, people are jumping in and on either side. We'll have to wait and see on everything. I think that we should morely focus on some of the RPG elements and the things within that sort of stuff, as the space sim stuff to me was always kind of like a bonus, and so it doesn't really bother me too much. It does seem like it's bothering some people though if the tile sets and how they are, if they're not seamless or whatever that is there. Obviously no official word or even gameplay on how the space exploration is going to work in that department. However, like I said, it's a good listen to if you go back to the Lex Friedman podcast with Todd Howard. He goes over it pretty well on how the tiles kind of like lay out with each thing. Yeah, I kind of was okay with that, so it doesn't really bother me as much. I'm more so concerned with the RPG elements, and my only other honest, real concern so far is kind of the companions. They feel a little bit uninteresting, although I will say the two today are actually quite interesting to me. The first beginning ones that they announced, the first 4, I wasn't really too much of a fan of, either visually or kind of like their backstory. However, these 2 now actually sound kind of cool, and I kind of like the Meteo relic thing, and yeah, that was kind of cool with that. And Noel seems super cool with it as a scientist, so I hope we kind of do get more of a backstory with these companions, and at least some more exciting ones. Although I'm not too worried about the companions. They did kind of like market it up as that this is going to be more companion based. However, I could totally play this solo, and I think I'll have just as much fun there. Now we do have that Starfield build planner, and I was going to go over a post the other day that had like some skill stuff in there, and it was on the main Starfield subreddit. However, I'm a little bit concerned with covering all this stuff just in case, as that post was since deleted, but I am going to link to this Reddit post that has the build planner. I'm not going to link directly to it, but he has the link there in the post. So that way if the post does get taken down, I'm not going to show any visuals from it just in case, but I think not everything is 100% accurate anyways. And I'm pretty sure most of this stuff is just on speculation as far as I'm concerned, and it's been up, it's got rewards, and it's been up for like 4 or 5 hours now. So hopefully they're okay with all this stuff now. Again, I think it is on mostly speculation. I don't think any of this stuff is confounded, but it is cool to know that we're going to have some sort of build planner at least sometime before release. Especially when the review embargo drops way earlier than the actual release time, we'll definitely be able to utilize these builds, and they will probably be 100% accurate. I also might make some build guides with Starfield, and I might start with a stealth playthrough, so if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe for that. We also really quickly had that event stuff that I wanted to end off with. Starfield made a tweet here saying a night with London Starfield Orchestra. This is a little bit later, but it's on September 13th at 2 p.m. EDT. The soundtrack and stuff is going to be played there, and it will also be live on Twitch. We'll make it closer to September 13th. I'll be sure to cover this again as well. They also put out a reminder here on Twitter saying that the Premium and Constellation Edition owners will have access to the official soundtrack and art book app. If they do give any more info on that, or they do showcase the app, I will be sure to update that down below. That should about cover for today's video though. If you like and subscribe, and until the next one, deuces.